Tennessee continues to not play its best football, but you beat another rival. You're 6-1 on the football season, and you're sitting pretty heading into the second bye week. We look back at the third Saturday in October, the second win for the Volunteers in 3 seasons.
You are Locked On Vols, your daily podcast on the Tennessee Volunteers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, good Monday morning, everybody. Welcome into Locked On Vols. I am your host, Eric Kane. Really appreciate that you being here this morning, taking your time, listening to us, watching us on YouTube. You know, we're free and available wherever you get your podcasts. You everydayers, this show is for you. Well, tomorrow's show, every show is for you, but tomorrow specifically, you can ask your questions for the mailbag show. So get in those questions, comments, and concerns at _Kaner and at Locked On Vols. We are going to recap at length Tennessee and Alabama. Tennessee a 24-17 winner over the Crimson Tides. Thoughts and takeaways in segment 1. Scoring plays courtesy of the Vol Radio Network in segment 2. And then stats and Kaner grades in segment number 3. And the show is presented by our friends over at Game Time. You can download the Game Time app, create an account, put in the promo code LOCKEDONCollege, and you're going to get $20 off your first purchase. Again, thanks to our friends over at Game Time. So I came on here and did a show early Sunday morning, late Saturday night, a postcast show, and I hope you guys had a chance to kind of go back and review that if you weren't up in the middle of the night, like I'm sure none of you guys were. I hope you had a chance to go back and watch it. Those were some instant reactions, some big-time takeaways that I had just hours after the game was over. Sunday afternoon, I had a chance to go back and watch the tape and, wrote a column, and I have a better feel of what that game was. And kind of what my open was the other night. I mean, nothing's really changing. Like, was that your best football? No, especially not on the offensive end. But you beat Alabama, and I don't care if Nick Saban's not on there on that sideline. I don't care. I mean, the secondary and the defense is not typically what a Nick Saban secondary and defense looks like. I mean, I recognize all that. It's Kellen DeBoer's staff now. Kane Womack's over there calling plays. But it's your big three. It's Florida, it's Georgia, it's Alabama. You are based as a Tennessee football coach on how you perform against your big three. And from 2007 to 2020, Tennessee was 1-29 in games against Florida and Alabama combined. Okay? Josh Heupel has beaten both twice already in his 4 years of head coach, 3.5 years of head coach. So it really kind of puts things in perspective on how much success he's having against the rivals. Georgia's another story. We'll get to Georgia. Of course, Tennessee and Georgia will meet in Athens on November the 16th, and that's a conversation for another day. But you beat your rival. Feels good, doesn't it? I mean, for a team that beats you up 15 straight years, it feels good. Tennessee's 6-1, 3-1 in Southeastern Conference play. You are right in the middle of college football playoff conversations. You are in the field of play, according to all these projections at On3 or ESPN or The Athletic or whatever. You're one of the 12 teams, or you're the first 4 out, or you're the, bubble watch. You're in that conversation, and that's great. And you're in that conversation because Tennessee's defense is elite. It's not because of Josh Heupel. It's not because of Dylan Sampson, although Dylan Sampson's doing everything he can. He's having a heck of a year. You are in that conversation because your defense is elite. Tennessee's defense, just spectacular the other night. You had Jalen Milroe, who I think when he's on, he's one of the better players in the country. I would not consider him on the other night. Thought he was very pedestrian in the pocket. 25 of 45 through the air, 239 yards, 1 touchdown. He ran for 41 yards, but of course, sacks, had a loss of 30, so he netted only 11 yards of rushing on the game. No rushing touchdowns. I believe that's the first game this year, if I'm not mistaken, where he didn't have a rushing touchdown, or maybe the second. Tennessee did a great job against Jalen Milroe. Tennessee's defense held Alabama to a total of 314 yards. That is phenomenal. Held Alabama to 75 rushing yards. Held Alabama to 239 passing yards. Held Alabama to a 3 of 14 clip on third downs. Alabama scored 2 touchdowns and 4 red zone trips. I mean, Tennessee's defense just continued to do what it did. It's continuing to do what it does, right? And, the defense, a stat that I think's pretty incredible, and I had this when I did my column the other day or yesterday over at volquest.com. Tennessee had back-to-back offensive possessions in the second quarter against Alabama that ended in interceptions. Remember, Nico gets hurt, exits the game. Play number 1, Gaston comes in, it's 3rd and 6, throws it, or 3rd and 8, whatever, throws it, it's picked off. Next drive, Nico's back in there, he throws a pick as well. Just a horrendous decision there by Nico, and we'll get to that here in a moment. But in that second quarter, Tennessee had 2 series that ended in interceptions. The Tennessee defense responded by forcing 2 3-and-outs, 2 punts, 2 3-and-outs, allowing negative 15 yards, meaning they didn't allow a yard. In fact, they forced the offense back, negative 15 yards on 6 plays. How about that? Talking about complimentary football, how about that? Your defense having your offenses back. If you add in the drives where Tennessee missed field goals, couple that with the 2 interceptions, so essentially what I'm looking at is sudden change here. Those 4 series where you had sudden change, the defense had to get back on the field in a hurry. The defense allowed a total of 7 points on 81 yards on 26 plays following sudden change. In series following sudden change. That's winning football. That is winning football. In the past 3 games, or 4 games, Tennessee has 3 stops at the goal line defensively. 3 takeaways at the goal line. Against Oklahoma, 1st and goal from the 5, you had a forced fumble. Against Florida, 1st and goal from the 1, you had a forced fumble. Against Alabama, 2nd and goal from the 3, you have an interception. Bend, but not break. Being put into bad situations and bailing your offense out. How about that defense, and how about Will Brooks? Will Brooks from Birmingham, Alabama. A shoestring tackle that saved a guaranteed touchdown on the first offensive series of the game for Alabama on a 4th and short QB sneak, and Milroe slipped out there. It was Will Brooks that had a shoestring tackle. If he didn't have that, boy, he'd still be running. He'd be running all the way back to Tuscaloosa. Nobody was around. And then, of course, the game-sealing interception for Will Brooks. How about that? Will Brooks as well, 8 tackles on the night, leading Tennessee. He continues to be Tennessee's best safety. Yeah, I said it. He continues to be Tennessee's best safety, and he continues to be one of the better stories, in my opinion, in college football this year. So the defense, can't say enough about you. You got tired in the second half. Understandable. Alabama ran 2 times as many offensive plays in the first quarter than you did Tennessee. You continue to put your defense out there to dry, and they continue to come through for you. Alabama scored a couple of touchdowns because you retired, but overall defense came through as it has all year long, and that is the reason why you are in the college football playoff conversation. Now, quickly, we'll talk more, once we get into segment 3 stats and Caner grades, but offensively, offensive line, much improved. Nico was sacked 3 times. Offensive line still much improved. I think Lance Hurd gave up a couple of pressures. He gave up a sack. There was pressure from the right side a little bit. Regardless, much improved this game from the offensive line. In real time, I turned around to Austin, my coworker at VolQuest.com, and I'm like, hey, I'm excited to go back and watch the rewatch because I want to see how the offensive line perform, because they are not jumping out at me right now. And they did not jump out at me on the rewatch either. That means you're doing your job. Offensive linemen, officials, if you don't notice them, they're doing their job well. And I thought Tennessee's offensive line, far from perfect, but I thought it did its job pretty well. Nico has got to stop missing wide open receivers. Nico has got to stop making freshman mistakes. Those are my 2 things about him, man. I broke it down over VolQuest.com, and I charted every single throw. You can go check it out again at VolQuest.com. I charted every single throw, broke down, was it a good throw, bad throw, what was the defense doing, how many yards you got on that, all that and more. Several plays where, you watch the game, guys running wide open for the 2nd straight week. Everybody that's saying, what's wrong with our defense? What's going on? Miss Alex Golish, the scheme is broken. Scheme ain't broken, guys. Scheme is not broken. Tennessee had guys running wide open behind the secondary for the 2nd straight week, and Tennessee, for the most part, can't connect. You're close, but as I said last week, horseshoes, right? Doesn't matter. Horseshoes, okay? You're close, but no dice. No dice, and Nico missed at least 3 or 4 of those guys wide open. A couple of those would have been touchdowns. On the contrary, okay, I'll get to the contrary in a moment. The second thing about Nico, staring down receivers, throwing interceptions. That happened at NC State. That happened against Florida. Not eating a football, trying to throw it, get hit, pops up, pick 6. That happened against NC State. Okay? those are young quarterback mistakes that you hope to learn from. And he will. But he hasn't yet. You know why? Because when he gets smacked off the playing surface and it looks like he is hurt, and then he goes into the tent, comes right back out, it's warming up, showing grit, determination. And I thought Nico grew up in the second half. I'll get into that here in a moment. And that drive, he's moving it. Offense has got rhythm. You're in the red zone, and you're out of the pocket, and you're a couple feet away from the sideline, and everybody on press row is like, yeah, throw it away. Throw it away. Yeah, throw it away. Yeah, throw it away. What? Take a step out of bounds. Take a step. Some people say, oh, you did that against Arkansas to end the game. Do it now. Take a step out of bounds. No, he forces a throw to try to get Brew in the back of the end zone, gets hit, the ball shoots up, and it's intercepted. That is a young quarterback mistake that you've got to move past, and he continues to make those. So that's the bad part about Nico. The good part about Nico, as I mentioned, boy, I thought he grew up in that second half. That dime to Chris Brazel was exactly that. Dime. Throw to Dante Thornton down the sideline. Gorgeous throw. Gorgeous throw. Okay? And his receivers, Nico missed some throws, don't get me wrong. His receivers dropped 4, 2 of which would have been touchdowns in my opinion. His receivers dropped 4 passes. That cannot happen. So, passing game's closed. Dylan Sampson, I don't know why the run game is a little bit better in the first half. I don't know why offensively overall, you might as well start against Kentucky in 2 weeks coming off the bye with a big old 3 on the scoreboard, because maybe that'll get the offense going. This offense used to be so great starting off under Josh Heupel in years past. That is not the case this year. Tennessee has not been a first quarter football team at all. So, give Tennessee credit. They came back. They battled. Defense hung in there. Defense made it a football game. Nico grew up a little bit. Tennessee made plays. Dylan Sampson ran, and Tennessee found a way to win the game in the second half, and that's awesome. How did it sound? Courtesy of the Vol Radio Network. We're going to get the scoring plays when we return right here on Locked On Vols. So don't go anywhere. Got a lot of stuff to get into. ZBiotics pre-alcohol probiotic drink is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break the byproduct down. Just remember to make ZBiotics your first drink of the night. Drink responsibly, and you'll feel your best tomorrow. So step 1, pre-alcohol. For best results, make pre-alcohol your first drink of the night. Step 2 is drink responsibly, pace yourself, hydrate, and get a good night's sleep. Step 3 is enjoy tomorrow. Wake up feeling refreshed and ready to tackle the day. Go to zbiotics.com/lockedoncollege and learn more, and you can get 50% off your first order when you use Locked On College at checkouts. ZBiotics is backed at 100% money guaranteed back, so you're unsatisfied for any reason, they're going to refund your money, no questions asked. Remember to head on over to zbiotics.com/lockedoncollege and use that promo code LockedOnCollege at checkout for 15% off. Hey guys and gals, welcome back into Locked On Vols, your Monday morning show. Tennessee a 24-17 winner on the third Saturday in October over rival Alabama. Tennessee 6-1 on the season, 3-1 in Southeastern Conference play. And the bye week is here, a chance to rest, recover, reset, hopefully get that offense back to where it needs to be for 4 quarters. And then you'll take on Kentucky, Mississippi State, Georgia, UTEP, and then Vanderbilt to finish off the regular season. So you played 4 games bye week, 3 games bye week, and then 5 games here in the home stretch. So still a whole lot of football to get to and a lot on the line. Of course, Tennessee very much, as I mentioned earlier, in that college football playoff conversation. Tennessee back to number, what is it, guys? What's that bottom line say? 7 in the AP poll. That's up 4 spots. 8 in the coaches poll, up 2 spots. It's going to get interesting here down the stretch because there's going to be a lot of team jockeying, especially from the SEC, with that 2 losses, and of course Tennessee has 1 right now, so big games coming up, and of course we'll carry that conversation on throughout the month of October and November until Selection Sunday. Okay, so how did it sound? Courtesy of the Vol Radio Network. Tennessee, of course, fell behind 7-0 in that first half, 3rd straight game where the University of Tennessee was shut out in the first half. That truly is hard to believe, but it was Tennessee that jumped onto the board, tying the football game at the 6:32 mark of the third quarter. Dylan Sampson gets in from 2 yards out.
Double wing. Alabama trying to stop Dylan Sampson. They can't do it. Dylan Sampson straight up the middle for a Tennessee touchdown. Dylan Sampson scores his 16th touchdown of the season, a 2-yard run, and Tennessee's back to within a point. 7-6.
So it was Sampson that plunged in there to cap a 55-yard drive himself. He had 30-something in the first half alone, 55 yards on that one drive. A big part of that was 36-yard run, his longest of the night, that came on the ground. Nico Iamaleava also added a 27-yard scramble of his own, and Tennessee tied the football game with, a little over 6 minutes left in the third quarter at 7-all. Well, it was Alabama that kicked a 35-yard field goal at the 3:11 mark of the third quarter to retake the lead at 10-7, and then less than 2 minutes, or a little over 2 minutes later, Tennessee answers right back. The second rushing touchdown of the game, the second rushing touchdown of the quarter for Dylan Sampson. This time it was from 3 yards out to give Tennessee its first lead of the game at 14-10.
First and goal at the 3. Handoff, Sampson up the middle, fights for the checkerboards. Touchdown, Tennessee! 3-yard run by Dylan Sampson. And Tennessee has the lead for the first time today, 13-10. Set up by a beautiful throw to Dante Thornton down this near sideline. And Tennessee now out in front of the Tide by 3. Sampson, his 17th rushing touchdown of the season.
Talking about how Nico grew up in the second half, and Nico made some plays that were critical in Tennessee's win. Bob just said it right there. It was set up by Nico's long throw down the sideline to Dante Thornton. If that wasn't his best throw of the game, it's what you're about to hear here in a moment. It was a beautiful rolling to the right, throwing on the run, 55-yard, just a dart down the sideline. Dante Thornton hauls it in, and Tennessee was inside the 5. Tennessee goes tempo, punches it in. Of course, you had Alabama players standing on the football, and the umpires had to go in there and get them off it, trying to slow things down. You had the fans booing Alabama, and then Tennessee punches it in, and it didn't matter. And that was a really, really beautiful throw, setting up that 3-yard touchdown run for Dylan Sampson, and Tennessee led 14-10. Well, it was Alabama that went right down the field, scored on its next possession, so it was kind of like a seesaw here in the second half. Tennessee tied it, Alabama went back up. Tennessee took its first lead, Alabama retook the lead, leading in this football game for the third time, marched right down the field. And this one I thought Tennessee's defense was kind of gassed a little bit because they just played so many snaps and had been on the field for so much, trying to hang Tennessee's offense or allow Tennessee's offense to get back into it. 75 yards, 6 plays. It was Justice Haynes that scampered in from 7 yards out, and it was 17-14 with 13:56 remaining in the football game. Tennessee trailing by a field goal. Well, about 6 minutes later, Tennessee takes the lead for good. It was a 16-yard, beautiful, I'm going to call it what it is, dime. Just an absolute drop-dead gorgeous throw from Nico Iamaleava on 3rd and 5 from the 16, a 16-yard dime to Chris Brazzell on that little fade there, and Tennessee took the lead 21-17. Here's how it sounded, courtesy of the Vol Radio Network.
And so Tennessee will have it at 3rd down and 6 yards to go at the Alabama 16-yard line. Nico back to throw on this drive. Fires for the end zone. The pass going to be a diving catch. Did he get it? Touchdown, Tennessee! Chris Brazzell stretches full out in the back right corner of the end zone. Caught it on his fingertips. A touchdown of 16 yards. What a throw by Nico, and what a catch by Chris Brazzell. Caught it in the back right corner of the end zone, and Tennessee is back out in front as they lead Alabama 20-17.
I mean, the touch on that football was incredible. Got it over the cornerback. And credit Josh Heupel, right? They switched. Nimrod, who was in the slot, Squirrel was out by this time. Nimrod was in the slot. Brazzell was outside. But you wanted the matchup. You wanted the mismatch here. So I think that was a safety, actually. You put Brazzell in the slot, okay, for that one play, and throwing it over the defender, right where Brazzell could go dive under in the back of the end zone. Just a gorgeous throw. And again, man, Nico missed on some wide open shots down the field. Nico missed a little bit earlier. His receivers were not helping him, and I'll get into that here in a moment. But, it was put up or shut up time, right? Second half, go win a football game. He made some plays. And that was one of those plays, obviously, that gave Tennessee the lead at 21-17. Tennessee later kicked a field goal, and I thought it was the right decision to kick the field goal, making it a touchdown game to go from 21-17 to 24-17. And then ultimately, at the very end, 90 seconds left in this football game, about 1:30, it was You called it. It was your boy, everybody's boy, right? Will Brooks intercepting Jalen Milroe to seal the deal.
Haynes is the tailback. 90 seconds left. Milroe out of the shotgun, drops, stands in there, looks, fires over the middle, intercepted at the 37-yard line. A diving catch by Will Brooks. Brooks gets the interception, his second of the year, and that will seal it for Tennessee.
McCoy's interception, Brooks' interception. So sure, you want to, as a football player, you're taught to read through your man to the backfield. As a linebacker, that's what you're taught. You know, as a cornerback or as a safety, that's what you're taught. You never want to just be caught in the backfield. You want to look through your guy to the backfield. So on McCoy's interception earlier in the game, man, he's guarding Ryan Williams. He's looking at Jalen Milroe. He's looking at Jalen Milroe the entire time. He's able to make a play on it. Will Brooks as well. He's watching his route, playing the triangle a little bit. They actually showed it on the broadcast, and he's reading Milroe through his receiver, broke on it, made the interception. A really, really nice play. So that is how it sounded, courtesy of the Vol Radio Network. Tennessee, a 24-17 winner over Alabama on the third Saturday in October. And when we come back, we'll take a look at the stats, Caner grades, all that and more as we continue here on a Monday morning edition of Locked On Vols. Hey, I want to tell you about my friends over at Game Time. Game Time is an app to where you can buy tickets to your events in your area. It could be sporting events like football games at Neyland Stadium, basketball games at the Food City Center, baseball games at Lindsey Nelson, or it could be concerts at Thompson Bowling Arena Food City Center. It can be shows at the Tennessee Theater. It can be concerts at the Bijou or wherever the case may be. You can buy tickets to those events in my area and your area on the Game Time app. So download this Game Time app, put in the promo code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Put in that promo code LOCKEDONCollege on the Game Time app or gametime.co for $20 off. You can check out the lowest price guaranteed, all-in pricing, the Game Time picks, all that and more that's offered for you by checking out Game Time and put in that promo code LOCKEDONCollege. Again, $20 off your first purchase. Check it all out. It's Game Time. Tennessee, a 24-17 winner over Alabama. Feels good, right? Went 15 years, didn't beat Alabama. Two of the last three wins in the series have been against, or two of the last three games have been wins for Tennessee in this series at Neyland Stadium. And Tennessee's sitting in a really, really good spot right now. Was it all pretty? Was it all perfect? Heck no. And it's not going to be. It's never going to be perfect, okay? It looks, at times, perfect on the defensive side of the football, for real, but it's far from perfect. Rodney Gardner will tell you that it's far from perfect. Tim Banks will tell you that it is far from perfect. But at the end of the day, I can't get over how well this defense is playing. This defense is elite. And I said it last week. At this point, sure, Oklahoma, Florida, Arkansas, NC State, I mean, no Heisman trophies are over there, okay? They're not winning any offensive awards, but you kind of are who you are. And sure, Alabama didn't have a very good day offensively, but hell, give Tennessee credit for that, right? Jalen Milroe did not look like the Jalen Milroe against Wisconsin or against Georgia or against some of these other teams, and you know that he's been a stud for the last couple of years. Tennessee made things uncomfortable for him, and the Tennessee crowd, hats off. The Tennessee crowd, goodness gracious. There was one, I want to highlight it right here. I wrote about it over at VolQuest.com. There was one series that I wanted to highlight for sure. So it was after Nico got hurt. Gassimore comes in. He's flush out of the pocket. It's an obvious passing situation. By the way, he flicked his wrist and threw it 45 yards with these. I know it was picked off, but anybody wondering that Gassimore can't make throws or can't throw the football down the field, that play right there should answer that question. Of course, it was picked off, and that's not great. But Gassimore, the backup quarterback, goes in, turns the football over. Alabama takes it all the way down to Tennessee 36-yard line, I believe, and had all that momentum. And so the crowd, the defense is expected to pick the offense up yet again. The crowd at that point should be disinterested. Should not be riled up and enthused. But instead, the Neyland Stadium crowd was loud. Alabama gained 4 yards on a run play to begin things. They, let's see here. Okay, here it is. Yeah, gained 4 on a first down. A holding penalty moved them back 5 yards for 2nd and 16. Okay, Milroe hit a running back in the flat for only 2 yards there. So it's 3rd and 14. It's loud. It's getting louder. Milroe had trouble communicating with his offensive line. Delay of game, okay? And then before the 3rd and 19, one could argue there should have been another delay of game because the play clock was at 0 before the ball was snapped. In fact, the official was reaching for the flag in his back pocket but then let it go. James Pierce had pressure. Dominic Bailey got back there in a hurry to get Jalen Milroe, causing him to throw the football loose. Intentional grounding. It was chaotic. It was stressful. And how about that Neyland effect? Picking up the offense, just like the defense did. I thought there's just one example the other night of how I thought the defense had an impact, and I thought the defense was fantastic. Alabama, goodness gracious, flagged 15 times for 115 yards. So many of those were pre-snap penalties. A couple of them were holds, so there you go, live ball penalties as well. There you go, Tennessee fans. I know you've been trying to get these Charmin soft media members like myself to ask about penalties. There you go. They called a couple of penalties. How about that? I thought the crowd was fantastic. I thought it was brilliant. Anyway, let's go into some Caner grades here. Nico Iamaleava, 14 of 27, 194 yards, 1 touchdown. He had the interception. It was a really, really bad interception. He missed several guys wide open down the field. You just can't continue to miss. So he bounced back. I thought he showed a lot of grit, determination. Thought he made some big-time, big boy throws in the second half. I thought his legs were instrumental in Tennessee's comeback and loosening up the offense and finding rhythm. But you missed too many guys. And so my grade's going to be a C-. But I'll tell you what, Nico will take a C- grade any day of the week if you beat Alabama. That is for dang sure. He finished so much better than he started. And so I tip my cap to Nico. I thought he grew up a little bit there in the second half. Running backs are going to get a B. I thought Deshaun Bishop looked good when given the opportunities. Cam Seldon got a series because Deshaun Bishop was actually in the 10th there at one point in the second half. Dylan Sampson was at the 10th there at one point in the second quarter. Dylan Sampson, though, 26 carries, 139 yards, 2 touchdowns. Really got going there with that 55-yard series in the third quarter. Jump-started Tennessee's offense, got Tennessee's offense off life support and into the football game. I just wish you would do it for 4 quarters. I wish the entire run game would do it for 4 quarters. So, with that being said, running backs will get a B. Deshaun Bishop, again, doesn't like stats aren't going to wow you, but every time he got an opportunity, I thought he did something well. And he had one 18-yard run that got called back because of holding on Dante Thornton. Tight ends are going to get a B. Instrumental in the run game, blocking, of course, in the second half. Ethan Davis, Holden Stays had a couple of receptions, so I thought that was good. Wide receivers. If I'm giving Nico a C-, I'm giving the wide receivers a C- because, boy, sure, they did their job. They got behind the secondary. They were running free, just like they did against Florida. But you also dropped 4 passes. It was a game plan. It was something Tennessee game plan coming into the game. They were going to go to Brew McCoy on the slant. Brew McCoy on the slant. He made some big catches. Brew had a really nice day. 11 targets, 6 receptions, 80 yards. Really solid day. He dropped the touchdown. Yeah. Squirrel White, obviously injured, left in the third quarter, didn't come back. He's been injured for a couple of weeks. He is tough. He is somebody on the GQ tried to say I wasn't a Squirrel White guy because I was talking about how he shouldn't have been in the football. If you're injured, you shouldn't be in the football game. Why? Because he tried to one-handed catch one of those throws. If you put 2 paws on it, that's a reception. I admire him so much for trying to tough it out and trying to battle. But if you can't play, you can't play. And that's more on the coaching staff than him because he wants to be out there, and I respect the hell out of that. That's more on the coaching staff. But I thought at times Squirrel was hurting the passing game because he wasn't healthy enough, and that's just my opinion. But man, Tennessee dropped some passes. Brazel dropped a pass, Brew dropped 2, Squirrel dropped at least 1, didn't make a play on another one. I'm going to give the receivers a C- as well, along with the quarterback a C-. And then offensive line, I'm going to give a B. I thought it was much improved. I thought the pockets were cleaner. A couple of times Nico had all day back there to throw. He really did. Wasn't perfect again. Did give up 3 sacks. Not all on the offensive line, but I thought it was much, much, much improved. And the fact that you ran for over 200 yards, that's something to celebrate. I'll give Tennessee's offensive line a B, a solid B. Defensive line gets an A. Again, relentless pursuit. James Pierce playing his best football. Joshua Josephs had a great game. Dominic Bailey had a great game. I thought Bryson Easton did some good things. Linebackers are going to get a B-. Some bad angles. A couple missed tackles, some bad angles there. But overall, Tennessee trying to make up for Keenan Peely to a good start. Aaron Carter and Jeremiah Thielen are good football players. Caleb Perry is stepping up as well. So I'm going to give Tennessee's linebackers a B- because missed a couple of tackles because of some really, really bad angles. Safeties are going to get a B. I thought Andre Turrentine had a better game. Jacoby Thomas flashed through the backfield, made a TFL. Will Brooks is Tennessee's best safety right now, in my opinion. Nothing flashy overall except for that one play from Thomas and, of course, the interception from Brooks. So I guess a couple of things. I'm going to give the safeties a B. I'm going to give the cornerbacks a B+. Jamal McCoy and Ricky Gibson were both targeted 11 times. Ricky Gibson gave up a touchdown. It's going to happen. Ron Williams is going to make plays. But here's the stat I want you to pay attention to. Alabama targeted Ryan Williams 19 times in this football game. He had 8 receptions, 73 yards, only 7 yards after the catch, which he was one of the nation leaders in YAC coming into this game. Only 7 yards after the catch. Overall, I thought Ricky Gibson and Jamal McCoy had a pretty solid game. So I'm going to give them a B+. Kicker's going to get a C. I thought Max Gilbert was put in a couple of bad positions. 53-yarder, 51-yarder. Those are obviously pretty long field goals. I think in normal circumstances, Tennessee might have went for it in that 4th down, but I think Tennessee was so desperate to get some points. It didn't happen. I thought it put him in a bad position at times. He did connect on a 41-yarder late in the football game that was big. So for Max Gilbert, he's going to get a C because he had 2 misses. Jackson Ross gets an A, man. Had 1 inside the 5, 2 inside the 20, averaged 48 yards per punt. I thought Jackson Ross did a great job flipping the field and helping Tennessee's defense out. And I'm going to give coaching staff an A-. Again, I'll go back to what I said earlier. Scheme's not broken, guys. Scheme is not broken. Players got to go out there and execute. At times, the coaching staff needs to help them more, and I thought the last 2 weeks they've done that. Arkansas, I thought they had a horrendous football game plan, but I thought it was a little bit better last night, so I'll give the coaching staff my grade as an A, an A-. All right, end of the day, though, Tennessee's a winner, 21-17. 3rd Saturday in October, victorious. How about that? Tennessee in the bye week, the second bye week of the season, a chance to rest, recuperate, reset, hopefully get that offense going and scoring points for 4 quarters and not just the last 2. Mailbag show coming up tomorrow. Get in your questions, your comments, your concerns. Again, questions, comments, concerns, get those in at _Caner and at Locked On Vols. As always, appreciate you guys. Thank you so much and have a great rest of your Monday, everybody.